The air in my apartment had grown thick, heavy with a cloying sweetness that stung the back of my throat. It wasn't the pleasant aroma of baking bread or blooming flowers. It was something else, something sickly and artificial, like overripe fruit left to rot in the sun. I first noticed it a few weeks ago, a subtle undercurrent to the usual city grime, and exhaust fumes that permeated everything. Now, it was almost suffocating. I'm not a religious man, not in the traditional sense. I've always considered myself a pragmatist, a skeptic. Ghosts, demons, angels, they were all just stories, comforting fables for those afraid of the dark. But the things that began happening to me, the escalating strangeness that invaded my life, chipped away at my carefully constructed wall of disbelief. It started subtly. Dreams, vivid and unsettling, that burrowed into my consciousness and lingered long after I woke. I'd find myself staring at reflections for far too long, convinced there was something different. My appetite vanished. I'd pick at meals, feeling a knot of unease tighten in my stomach, a premonition of something dreadful. Then came the whispers, faint, almost imperceptible, but definitely there, just at the periphery of my hearing. My name, I thought, carried on a breath of warm air, seductive and laced with promise. I dismissed it as stress, exhaustion, the product of too much caffeine and not enough sleep. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They started to form words, phrases, promises of pleasure and power, spoken in a voice that sounded both ancient and impossibly alluring. It was like honey, dripping into my mind, sticky and irresistible. I started to feel watched. Everywhere I went, I had the distinct sensation of being observed, scrutinized. It was a constant pressure, a prickling awareness that someone, or something, was always just out of sight, lurking in the shadows. I'd spin around, heart hammering, but there was never anything there. Just the empty street, the vacant park bench, the indifferent faces of strangers. The dreams intensified. They became more explicit, more disturbing. I was no longer just a passive observer. I was an active participant in scenes that blurred the line between pleasure and pain, reality and fantasy. I woke up sweating, gasping for breath, haunted by images that clung to me like cobwebs. One night, I woke to find myself standing in the middle of my living room, completely naked. The air was thick with that cloying sweetness, almost tangible now. The shadows danced in the corners of the room, twisting into grotesque shapes. And then I saw her. She was standing by the window, bathed in the pale moonlight. Her skin was the color of alabaster, her hair a cascade of raven black that flowed down her back like liquid night. Her eyes, though, were what held me captive. They were pools of molten gold, burning with an ancient, knowing light. They promised everything, offered everything, demanded everything. I couldn't move. My body was frozen, my mind paralyzed. I could only stare at her, mesmerized, caught in her intoxicating gaze. She smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of her lips that sent a shiver down my spine. "You've been waiting for me, haven't you?" she whispered, her voice a silken caress against my skin. I tried to speak, to deny her, but the words wouldn't come. My throat was dry, my tongue heavy. I could only nod, a tiny, almost imperceptible movement. She glided towards me, her movements fluid and graceful, like a predator stalking its prey. She reached out a hand, her fingers long and slender, and brushed them against my cheek. "Don't be afraid," she said, her voice barely a breath. "I'm here to give you everything you've ever wanted." And in that moment, I understood. I knew what she was. A succubus, a demon that fed on desire, a creature of nightmare made flesh. And she had chosen me. I don't know how I found the strength, but somehow, I managed to break free from her spell. I stumbled backwards, away from her, my heart pounding in my chest like a trapped bird. "Get out," I croaked, my voice hoarse and trembling. "Get out of my house." She didn't move. She just smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "You can't get rid of me that easily," she said. "I'm a part of you now. I'm in your dreams, in your thoughts, in your desires." Then, she vanished. Just like that, she was gone. The cloying sweetness faded, the shadows receded, and the room was silent once more. But I knew she was still there. Not physically, perhaps, but in my mind, in my subconscious. She was a seed that had been planted, and I knew it would take more than just a simple exorcism to get rid of her. I started researching. I devoured books on demonology, folklore, and religious texts. I consulted with priests, rabbis, and even a self-proclaimed Wiccan. I learned about protection rituals, banishing spells, and the power of faith. I tried everything. I filled my apartment with holy symbols, recited prayers, and performed cleansing rituals. I even slept with garlic under my pillow, which did nothing but give me terrible dreams about garlic. Some things worked, temporarily. The rituals provided a brief respite, a moment of peace. But she always came back, stronger and more insistent than before. The battle is still ongoing. She hasn't manifested physically again, but her presence is always there, a subtle pressure, a nagging voice in the back of my mind. I fight her every day, clinging to my sanity, refusing to succumb to her allure. I don't know if I'll ever truly be free of her. Maybe she's right. Maybe she is a part of me now, but I refuse to let her win. I refuse to let her control me. I will keep fighting, keep resisting, until the day I die. Because the alternative is a fate far worse than death. It's a life consumed by darkness, a soul devoured by desire, and that is something I will never allow.